So this guy is actually an author of the book called The Unnatural Network, and his guy is Charlie Lawson. His previous types of job was an IT consultant and a taxi driver. He's married to Hannah, and he has Alfie and Maggie May. 2 cats, Ledley and Sir Les. He likes Formula 1, football, photography and classic cars. His other interests are running. Perhaps you know that you run a marathon very, very well, didn't you, a year or 2 ago? And he's from Willesden in North London. He's been there for 5 years. His burning desire is to see Spurs win the Premier League. And he's put, this is his words, not mine, so okay, it probably won't happen. So I'm happy enough as long as Arsenal don't. Fair enough. His middle name is the same name as an English county. So, welcome to the room, Charlie Cheshire Lawson. No, his name's Charlie Lawson, so please put your hands together for the Unnatural Network, Charlie Lawson.
People often say to me, how do you become the National Director of BNI, a referral and networking organisation, if you are an unnatural networker? What I mean by being an unnatural network, it means if I can avoid it, I won't go networking. I'd far rather hang out with my mates. So it's a good question. How do you become the National Director of BNI if you don't really like networking? Well, let me tell you a quick story to illustrate how bad I am at networking, or how bad I was at networking. This goes back to one of my very first networking experiences. It was a Chamber of Commerce meeting. It was in South East London, where I was based at the time. And I remember I was nervous as anything as I approached the place where this Chamber of Commerce meeting was. It was a lunchtime do, and they had some sandwiches out and cups of tea and coffee and all the sort of normal things you'd expect. And I thought to myself, okay, I can do this. And I walked in the room, and I saw this big crowd of people who all looked like they knew what they were doing. Anyway, the lady at the signing desk said to me, well, go and grab yourself a coffee, go and grab yourself some sandwiches. And I thought, okay, I can do that. That's okay. I know sandwiches, I know coffee, that's okay. And it meant I didn't need to think about going to talk to people for a second. So I went over to the table, grabbed myself a plate of sandwiches, grabbed myself a cup of coffee, and I thought, right, I've got to do this. I've got to speak to someone now. Now, fortunately, I didn't have to do anything because someone came and talked to me. Let me tell you about that person. This person was, I'm going to say she was probably in her early 60s, probably. She was, I know I'm of mutant proportions. She was a very petite lady, very smartly dressed. I'd got my suit on that day, and I made sure I, made an effort and made sure I looked okay. But she was immaculately dressed. As I say, quite a petite lady. And turned out she was a solicitor. Anyway, she engaged me in conversation. I thought, well, this is okay. I can do this. This is networking. I'm away. But if you ask me now to recall anything from that conversation, what she said, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because I had, after only a few short minutes, this nagging worry in my mind. I thought, well, this networking thing, I've got my business cards, I had all the things I needed. And I thought, hang on, in a minute, she's going to ask me for my business card. My business cards were in my inside pocket in my jacket. I had a plate of sandwiches here and a cup of coffee there. There were no tables. And that fateful moment came when she said, can we swap business cards? I said, yeah, sure. Check it out. Quite hard to do with a microphone in hand, but I placed the coffee on the side of the sandwich plate. I thought, I've got this, we're okay, I've got this. And I reached inside my jacket and pulled a card. I pulled the card out and I thought, we're okay here, we've got this, we're okay. You know what happened, don't you? The card just grazed the handle of the cup of coffee. And remember, very nice, very lovely lady, prim, proper, very well dressed. Solicitor, did I say? And there's this cup of coffee winging its way towards her. I'll pick that story up a little later. But I genuinely am an unnatural networker. I am a bit introverted. I'm more comfortable with my own company. I don't need to go and speak to lots of people. I don't get energy from doing that. You might call me a bit introverted. There's a scale of introversion to extroversion. I'm definitely more on the introverted side. It's not to say I'm bad at networking. BNI has taught me to be brilliant at networking. If I can avoid it, I do. And the thing is, when some people say to me, you've got to go and do that thing, working the room, going, speaking to everyone around, making contacts and getting in contact with as many people as possible. There's no way I can go and do that. No way. It takes me enough courage. What did I say to a few people just out there, just in the break? I said, do you mind if I come and join you? I don't know anyone here. What I'll tend to do, though, is because I'm in a conversation, I'll spend a bit more time with them. And what do we do when we spend a bit more time with someone in a conversation? We get to know them a bit better. That's what networking really is. It's building relationships with people. And because I get to know them a bit better, well, actually, I can be very effective at networking. So the introverted way of doing it, just like me, there's a slightly more extrovert way of doing it, where you just go around and talk to anyone. There's no right or wrong. It's just different ways of doing it. And what I'd like to share is probably 3 things that I think you can do in BNI to make yourself a really effective networker, even if you are an unnatural networker. Let's have a quick show of hands. Any unnatural networkers in the room? That's a pretty typical response to audiences I see. I ask this question regularly. It's usually about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the room will say they're unnatural. Who's the natural networkers? I call you weirdos, but we'll go with it, it's fine. No, there are some people who just enjoy going up to... You'll have to tell us about how to do that sometime, because I really have no clue. No, but even for natural networkers, there's something going to be here for you, because you've just seen the majority of the people are unnatural networkers. And if you can learn how to approach them more effectively, then that might make you a better networker as well. So I'm going to share 3 things, if that's all right, about how to network more effectively as an unnatural networker. And I'm going to start with one of my biggest fears, apart from chucking coffee all over lovely people that I meet networking. One of my biggest fears when it comes to networking is, okay, I've taken the step, I've gone out of my comfort zone, I've gone and talked to someone, but what if I'm really boring? What if in the conversation I'm having, have you ever been in a conversation at a networking event and someone's looking over your shoulder for someone else to speak to? That never happened to anyone else? Oh, it has. Thank you. That's very kind of you. No, it happens from time to time. I always think, is this engaging? Am I saying something that's interesting? And I want to see if I can share a little story to show you how you can make this more effective. And this comes from a BNI story. It was something I heard in a feature presentation in a chapter. And it concerns a lady called Marie. Let me tell you about Marie. She's a travel agent. And this story happened, basically she was in her office on about 5:45 on a Friday afternoon, going into the evening. What are we generally doing at 5:45 on a Friday afternoon? Are we proactively searching out new business opportunities? You're not? No, fair enough. Of course we're not. We're thinking about the weekend, and that's what she was doing. She was planning, her family were having their Friday night takeaway. It was going to be curry that night, she told me. Anyway, she was in her office about 5:45 on a Friday afternoon. And suddenly the phone rings. Phone rings in the office, she picks it up, and there's a lady on the other end of the line who's very obviously upset. She's crying. You can tell that something's happened. And she says, well, what's going on? How can I help? And it turned out this lady was due to get married the next day, on the Saturday. And on the Sunday, she was going to fly off for a honeymoon in the Caribbean. The problem was, and the reason she was upset, is there were no flights to the Caribbean at all. There was a strike. There was nothing anybody could do about it. It wasn't like you could, it was going to take a number of days before it would catch up. It wasn't going to happen. And she was calling Marie, just saying, look, I know it's short notice, but is there anything you can do? Marie said, look, I don't want to promise for a sec, but let me see what I can do. I might be able to help. Just answer me this one question. Where will you be tomorrow morning? And the lady said, well, I'm getting ready for the wedding at my mum's house. And she said where it was. Anyway, Marie put the phone down, picked it up again, called a couple of contacts, got online, and she managed to source exactly the same type of holiday. So same spec, same quality hotel, same sort of everything, same dates, same sort of transfers, same sort of experience, if you like. It was just to Hawaii instead of the Caribbean. The next morning, she went round to the lady's mum's house and said, there you go, there's your tickets. Normally there'd be a late fee of 150 quid for these, but hey, that's my wedding present to you. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I hope you have a lovely day today. One last thing to say in the story. 2 or 3 weeks later, she received a postcard in the post. There was one image on the front. It was a selfie of a newlywed couple with an idyllic Hawaiian beach scene just behind them. On the back, a simple message that said, "Thank you. I don't know what we'd have done without you." End of story. Quick show of hands. Would you refer business to Marie? Hands up if you would. You would, right? Why? Tell me why. Why was she good? Went above and beyond. Yeah, go with that. Keep going.
Awesome testimonial.
Sorry?
Awesome testimonial.
It's a great testimonial. Yeah. What else? She listened. Yeah. Keep going. She cared. She's reliable. She's good at what she does. Is that not fair to say? You could say she offers a discount as well. But all of those are not the reason why you would refer business to Marie. Do you know what it is? It's because I told you a story. What happens when you tell a story? People listen. And I know this. Why do I know you were listening? It was a very physical thing you were all doing over the last couple of minutes. What were you doing? You were looking at me. You had eye contact. And it's not to say that you shouldn't. I'm going to pick on this person here, but you look at your phone and that's cool. That's no problem. It's not a problem, honestly. But here's the point. Was that happening when I was telling the story? No, it wasn't. Because people want to, well, at the end of the day, we're human beings and we want to hear what happened. And what we want to try and create in our stories is that visceral connection where we sit there and think, I know what that feels like. So, heading back to being an unnatural networker, thinking about BNI, what do you think you need to do to make yourself a more effective networker? Tell some stories. The more stories you can tell, the better networker you're going to become. The more interesting the conversation is going to be, the better your weekly presentation is going to be, the better your one-to-ones are going to be. It's going to make a massive difference to how it works. And here's the thing, when it comes to, that, going back to that, am I a bit dull at a networking event? Do you ever fear that people are not really listening, or perhaps not listening in your weekly presentation? In fact, we'll do a quick show. Think back to your last chapter meeting. Got it in your mind? Last week? Think back to all the weekly presentations. So you saw everyone deliver a weekly presentation. You all got them in your mind? Were they all fantastically interesting? Dave, what's going on in this region? Come on. No, of course they weren't, because that's just, they aren't they? But let's have a look at them. When you heard stories, they're the ones that will have engaged you. What you tend to hear is people listing out products and services, listing out a set of facts about how good they are, how they add good value, how they offer good service. We have to offer good service. If you don't offer good service, you're not going to be in business very long. It's about sharing good stories. And when you share those stories, here's one little tip for you. Make them about your client. Do not be tempted to share about how you helped the client, what you did. Can I say something controversial? I said, can I say something controversial? Yes. What you do is really boring. I'll say it again. What you do is really boring. Now, I understand. It's your livelihood, it's your business, it's not boring, I get that. But from a storytelling point of view, we don't care. We just don't care. What we want to do is hear about how the client felt. Both before you turned up, what was the issues the client was facing? What was the problem? What was the frustration? Were they losing money? Were they wasting time? Whatever it might have been. Were they not able to fly off on their honeymoon? Whatever it is. You then did your stuff, you're the superhero, swoops in, saves the day. And then how did they feel afterwards? When you share that, you'll become much better at getting referrals for yourselves. Does this make sense? Yeah. Are we happy? Yeah. Oh, we sound it, don't we? I said, are we happy? Yes. Well, we're getting there. Okay, so that's the first one. First tip is share stories. Don't be boring. Much better. Second tip. I'm going to say a word. I suspect, I really am going to look at you, Dave, if this one doesn't work out. I suspect you'll have heard someone from BNI talking about this particular word. You will have done, I promise you, because I've already seen it referenced today. We've got the green plant wall just behind me here as well. The word is being specific. Who's ever heard someone from BNI talk about being specific? I'm kind of hoping all your hands are up at this point. Yeah, no, we talk about it regularly. We talk about it the whole time, in fact, because it's the key to getting good business from BNI. And I talk about it from the point of view of being an unnatural networker. Remember, I've got to convince myself to go out in the first place. I have to take that step to go network in the first place. I'd rather avoid it. I'd rather go and just watch the football, whatever else, and do something else. I need to push myself to do it. So I need to get results. If I don't get results in terms of referrals, well then it's frustrating. It's going to decrease the chance of me actually going networking. Being specific will help you get more business. Now, I get some of you can be specific. I've heard and seen the various examples here. It's fantastic to see. But some people find it harder. Quick show of hands. Who finds it hard to be specific? Hands up if you do. That's quite a lot of hands up. Let's see if we can help one or two people quickly. Just do this interactively to see if we can help you be more specific. We were chatting before, so I know you're in mortgages, wasn't it? Yes. Remind us your name, sorry? Carol. Just stand up, Carol, just for a sec so we can see. This is Carol. She does mortgages. Hello. Okay, I'm going to ask you to, if you can, play a little game. I'm going to ask you to give us a specific referral request. And if, and you've got to listen out, help me on this. If Carol says, anybody, everybody, somebody, anyone, any of those types of words, we're going to say that's not good enough, we're going to challenge it. Is that right? Can we do that? Yeah. Go on then. Okay. Who's going to refer for you?
I would be after Tom Leach, who is the area consultant for Purple Bricks.
Okay, it doesn't sound like you've got a problem being specific, you know how to do it.
That's a new one. Yeah, I struggled normally I'm like, I just need an estate agent.
Okay, so you pick one. Honestly, you've done it. Take a seat for a second. Oh, in fact, before you do, can anyone help? Does anyone know Tom Leach, as you stood up there? Tom Leach of Purple Bricks. Can anyone help with that? Where's Tom Leach based, by the way?
It covers the whole area.
The northwest we're talking here. Yeah. Okay. Anyone help? Okay, we can't always help in every time. But I'm going to say it, you know how to be specific. You've just done it perfectly. Who really doesn't know how to be specific? A number of hands went up before. Let's pick someone else. Who does not know how to be specific? You've got your hand up. What's your name, sir?
Will.
Will. Stand up, Will. What do you do?
I'm an IT consultant.
IT consultant. Go on. Who's good referral for you? The same rules apply.
It's such a wide scope because I'm dealing with small to medium business.
So which small to medium-sized business?
All kinds of business. Engineering companies. I can specify types of companies. So engineering.
Go on then. Engineering companies. Are they good for you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So which engineering company?
Well, I've already got engineering companies, so.
So you've got all the engineering companies?
No.
So you raise a good point there. You've already got an engineering company as a client. You already do provide IT support for those companies. Now you don't have to name the company. You've already got. In fact, you've got the industry. If you're struggling with it, picture a good current client and think, would it be appropriate to do business with someone a bit like them, one of their competitors? Now, I appreciate in a small percentage of times that may not be appropriate. I get it. But most of the time, perfectly possible. So it's perfectly possible for you to do to work with another engineering company. Is that fair to say? Okay. So which one?
I don't know. I do not know. I'm not.
What do we think Will needs to do? Yeah, it's called a bit of research. And where do we do this research? It's an amazing thing. It's called the internet. Have you ever heard of it? No, I'm being facetious, obviously. Google, LinkedIn, that's where you go. Pick one, honestly. And what often happens is you don't necessarily know someone in that company, but we might know someone in a company a bit like it. Okay? So will you do that?
Yes.
Cool. Come and talk to me afterwards if you want more help in it. You literally just got to get on Google and Google, local engineering companies. That's all it is to it. Anyone else? You can stand up if you like. Go on, what's your name?
Linda.
Hello, Linda. How are you? Good. Who's going to refer for you?
I don't know.
Excellent. Let's work with that. Can we help Linda with I don't know?
I'm a counsellor.
Right.
So I like to help people. So I could really deal with every single person in this room. So being specific for companies is a good way of getting me into the companies to help their staff. But how can I be more specific in the role that I do?
Well, this is what I was hoping would come up. Basically, there's two types of businesses. You will all be one of these types of businesses, or you might be a mix of both. You'll either be a business-to-business operator, i.e. you're a business and you sell your service to other businesses, or a business-to-consumer operator. You're a business, you sell your product, your service to the world at large, the population at large. And you might be, as I say, a mix of the two. Here's where I wanted this to come out. Business to consumer, if you're selling to the population at large, it is not necessarily appropriate, and particularly in some industries, yours would be a great example of one, you can't say a good referral from me is Mrs. Baker at 22 Murray Road, because that's just, it's going to go against client confidentiality, it's just not going to work, it's almost too specific. So what can we do instead if you're in this position, if you're in this boat, business to consumer? Would you like to, I'll ask you the question, and we'll play this out. Would you like to go from being a really good networker to a top-level networker?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is what top-level networkers do. They don't think about the end user. We don't care about Mrs. Baker or whoever it is. We think, who can introduce you to lots of Mrs. Bakers in this case? So just for a second, play this out. Just give us ideal people, or no, sorry, not ideal, typical people who come and see you. So picture a good current client now. Just give us some age, demographics, where do they live, family, non-family, whatever.
I see adults, children, young persons, people going through exam stress, people who are stressed.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Stop you there for a second. Pick your best client now. And just describe them for a second. Pick one client, and you think you could do more of them.
Oh, autistic children.
Autistic children. Okay, brilliant. So the question then is, and I'll ask Linda, you keep quiet for a sec, let's let the rest of the room help you here. Where can Linda find a supply of autistic children? Charities would be a good starting point. Keep shouting out. You might want to just note a few of these down and you'll then work it out. Schools would be a good one, yes. Special education institutions, definitely, yes. Youth organisations, yes. Local authority social workers, yes, could definitely be. Come on, keep up, Linda, let's go. Let's give her a moment, Breathe. Doctors, I heard, yes. Go on. A friend of yours owns a care home for autistic. That might be a good one to have a little one-to-one with. We'll have a couple more and then I think we're getting the point here.
My wife works at the National Autistic Society.
Did you hear that? If you didn't hear that, what was your name, sorry? Adrian's wife works for the National Autistic Society. Fantastic. I think we're getting the picture here, okay? What you've got to do is think, where does your target market hang out? Now, I don't mean which supermarket they go to or which pub do they go to, but who's going to be able to give you a good supply of people who are in your target market? You've then got to ask for them specifically. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for everyone else who's in a business-to-consumer environment? Forget end users. Forget end users. In fact, Linda, you take a seat for a sec, but just have a look around. Anyone who thinks they can help Linda, please stand up so we can just give her a chance. There's a few people who have opportunities. Adrian, you should stand up. A couple of Barbara was as well. That's Linda. Go and see her.
What's Linda's surname?
What's Linda's surname?
Hayward.
Linda Hayward.
Hayward.
Let's give Linda a round of applause. That's how it's done. Pleasure. There you go. This is the value of being specific. It really does work. But there's one more thing we've got to consider. Let's say a good referral for me is Sir Richard Branson. I'm just going to pick that name because it's someone that we all know. We can picture them in our mind. Good referral for me is Sir Richard Branson, Virgin Group. What we've got to do, we have to do, is to answer the question of why would, in this case Sir Richard Branson, or whoever, Tom Leach or whoever it is, why would Sir Richard Branson want to talk to me? And the answer to that can't be, I want to sell my product or service to them. I have to have something a bit stronger than that. So what's the answer? Say again?
You have to have something to offer.
You do? How might we get that across, do you think? Aha! The stories that I was referring to before. See, this is where so many BNI members, and I'm talking across the world. Cheshire, amazing BNI members. Incredible. I can just see you guys here. No, just generally speaking, across the world, BNI members might well get being specific, but they don't necessarily get the results from it because they don't make it easy to make the referrals happen. It's telling those stories, which, by the way, have the advantage of making you more interesting, less boring, all those other things and lovely things we talked about before, but they're the ones that help you get the referrals you want. What you've got to do is match up your story with your specific. Well, in fact, I should probably say match up your specific with your story. Start with your specific target, and then think, I need to tell stories about how I helped clients similar to that. Does that make sense? Good. I said I'd give you 3 things. I'm going to share the last one now. We've already had telling stories. We've had being specific. Let's come on to the last one. And again, this is one for me as an unnatural networker. As I say, if I could possibly avoid networking, I would. I think BNI is a great place for an unnatural networker because there's a level of accountability that means you have to be there. I mean, let's face it, we have an attendance process. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on. Membership committees look at whether people come to chapters or not. That core value is one of our core values of accountability, is one of the reasons why BNI works. We hold each other to account, to turn up, to do one-to-ones together, to listen to each other's weekly presentations, to go and find referrals for each other, to find visitors to bring. All the things we do work because there's a level of accountability and a structure behind it. But just looking at it from an individual point of view, it's what you're putting into it yourself. I have to, honestly, be prodded in the back to go networking. That's just me. Just the fact that you have to be there will make a massive difference to you. But then there's what you do with it once you're there. Quick story, if I may. I was at a chapter meeting not so long ago, and it was the end of the meeting, about 8:30. It was a morning breakfast meeting. President calls at the end of the meeting, gives the quote of the day, and says, "This week's meeting starts now. Let's go!" Big whoop whoop and all that sort of stuff. And the guy sat next to me, he's a plumber. He sort of gathered his things up and said, "Well, I'd best get off to work then." And I turned to him and said, "What have you been doing for the last hour and a half? Is this a social thing? Is this just, do you get up at silly o'clock on a Tuesday morning because you enjoy it?" He was at work. That's the point. BNI is work. You're just in a different place, maybe, different location, perhaps, but you are at work. You are running your business when you're at BNI. And the more you take that mindset on, and the more you apply it to what you do, and how you run your entire business, and indeed, in fact, your life, the more you're going to get out of BNI. Because I've heard the power hour referred to a lot. Who has that in their diary? Maybe about a quarter of the room. I would encourage you to do so. Let me tell you a quick story about a guy called Andrew Rose. Andrew Rose is a successful BNI member. He's an accountant. He's based near me in the office in northwest London. And let's be clear, I don't want to say he's just joined BNI. He's been in BNI about 14 years. As an accountant, he's got 3 or 4 partners in his practice, and they're in different chapters. So it's not just him bringing this in, and he hasn't just been in BNI a few months. But anyone like to guess what he has turned over from BNI so far? 2 million? Try 5.5 million. And he knows that's working because in the last 12 months alone, he's done 750 grand. So it's ramping up. And I talked to him about why that, why is he successful? Why does that work? What makes the difference? And he said there's lots of things you've got to do. You've got to, do your one-to-ones. You've got to prepare your weekly presentations. You've got to, find referrals for each other. You've got to turn up. You've got to go to training. Blah, blah, blah. All the things you have to do. But the key thing he does is he makes sure there's 1 hour in his diary to work on BNI stuff. If you look at BNI as a 90-minute meeting, it's not going to work for you. If you look at it as a way of life, a way to run your business by, then it will work for you. And it's about having time in place to do some of the things you say you're going to do. Be that setting up one-to-ones. Be that booking for training. Be that looking on LinkedIn to try and help people with referrals. Be that preparing your weekly presentation. Be that sorting out some stories so you can prepare really interesting weekly presentations and so on. The more you can do that, the more you're going to get from BNI. All I want to see is people get a lot from BNI, and it's just fantastic. I'm going to pick on Simon just for a second. That story you just shared before, I was sat there with the hairs on the neck standing on end, because that is why we do what we do. Seeing people go through a successful business journey, good luck to you. Absolutely wonderful to hear what you've gone through, and I hope you continue to make a huge success of yourself. That's why we do what we do. The fact is, people join BNI because they want to get a bit of business. That's the roots of it, what people do. They see the referrals going around and think, great, I could get some of this for my business. Brilliant. But then what's so brilliant is how many other people benefit from it. You start getting referrals, who benefits? Your family benefits. Perhaps you can put the kids through education or take the family away on holidays that you wouldn't otherwise been able to. And then when you grow a business, new people in the local community get a livelihood. Perhaps you're taking on new staff, new contractors. That's helping other people provide for themselves and their families. And not only that, the way money recirculates around the economy, you receive £1, what do you tend to do? We should save it, shouldn't we? But we don't necessarily, we usually spend it. And because we're local business people, we want to spend it local. So other people benefit. For every £1 generated in your chapter, you can conservatively look at 5 times that amount is actually the net effect of the Cheshire community. You should be really proud of what you're doing. You're making a massive difference to both yourself, your families, and the local community by being BNI members. Thank you for what you do. I must just wrap up with one last thing, because I left you with that image of a cup of coffee flying through the air. Oh, she was a lovely lady. I felt very bad. I genuinely did. Really, did I say the smart suit? She was very... I pulled off what can only be described as a ninja move. Somehow, I managed to deflect that cup of coffee with my arm, not onto her, but onto me. And she said, you know what? There are better ways to get referrals. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.